Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, July 11th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here will be moving around and changing. And the candlestick you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. And I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, GRRR. Did this one on Friday, and the big move continues and the overall trend continues. So depending on your perspective is going to really kind of depend on how you view this chart. Meaning if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 4 minutes, well then yes, from that perspective the chart looks really bad because there was a pullback. But assuming you care about the bigger picture of things, the price is once again putting a higher high, it's putting in a higher low. So from a trend construction point of view, you really can't ask for much more. Now, what I'm curious about moving forward are a couple of these levels here from resistance, and that is right here. Is there some sort of upwards channel that is forming? So we have the top part of the channel right there, and then bottom part of the channel we have down here. Now, you may argue, and I don't think I would, disagree that maybe it's a little bit too early to start to think that there's some sort of channel that's forming. And like I said, that is potentially true, but out of my personal curiosity's sake, I think it's worth at least getting these lines in here and seeing how the price behaves relative to them as, time goes on. So the week is young, only Monday. If the price comes down to that green line, will it be respected? Same question for up here at the red line. And so far, it does seem as though that upper line is respecting the trend line and, does have a little bit of data down here that it's respecting the lower trend line, but also that's not quite a whole lot of data yet. But overall, like I said, I think this is the most interesting dynamic moving forward. And you got to think that probably, a good amount of people have put these lines into place. So you have potentially some self-fulfilling prophecies in regards to those levels. But let's see how the price responds to these levels as the week continues to play out. Next, RIVN, and the trend continues. Been tracking this one on a daily basis recently, and I will continue to do so as long as this thing continues to grind higher and higher. But like the one we just looked at, this one has put in some higher highs, and it has put in higher lows. Although with all that being said, the pattern here that is formed, so let me get that into play. So there's the resistance part of it, and there is the support part of it, is suggesting that maybe this thing needs to level out. I wouldn't quite call this a rising wedge pattern, which is a bearish pattern. But like I said, in my mind, this thing, and when I say it's got to take a rest or it's got to pull back, that does not mean that it's going to crash or I'm calling for a full-blown reversal. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that the thing is apparently, I think, running out a bit of energy here. And a deeper pullback here, I think, could ultimately prove to be very healthy. And when I say deeper pullback, again, that's not the same as a crash. I can see the price pulling back to that 50-period moving average, and then that being all that was really needed to create a healthy situation. So now, ideally speaking, what would make this chart look the strongest? That would be staying above that green line right there. But my point here is that even if that green line does not hold, by no means the end of the world, because you would still have this purple line there from more of an overarching standpoint. But if the price does decide it wants to work its way back upwards, then I definitely keep a very close eye on that trend line right there, which has been pretty stubborn in regards to being the area of resistance. But all in all, the trend continues. Next one, PWM, which was crazy on Friday, and although started off the day acting like it didn't want to be crazy, had the gap down. During that period, you can see volume wasn't a whole lot. Then all of a sudden, the volume returned and the craziness returned, and up it goes. So like I said on Friday, if you like very volatile stocks, then this one would be a situation that I would definitely say should be on your watch list, because remember what a watch list is all about: finding unique, finding interesting situations, and not rushing out and randomly buying stuff, but watching it and seeing what happens. Like I said, if you like very volatile stocks, then I would certainly be watching this one on Tuesday. In terms of areas of resistance, pretty straightforward right now. The party and momentum finally stopped right up there at the $31 mark. So nothing fancy behind that logic. And then as far as levels of support are concerned, it does seem to have a nice little trend line right there that's forming in terms of support. So let me change that to green to represent the support. And then for you pattern players out there, maybe this would be another angle you could look at it. So we have the resistance, we have the support, we have the nice explosive move right here. We'll put the golf hole down here for you golfers, make it a little bit more visual. And perhaps, you could look at this as a bull pennant pattern. But however angle you want to look at it, the fact of the matter remains this thing is very volatile. It's a big mover. So if you like that sort of recipe, then certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, TTOO, and I'm just kind of dawning on me now, but yeah, the underlying theme here seems to be higher highs and higher lows, and just overall uptrends. And we have that here once more. We have these highs which keep getting higher and higher. We have these lows which keep getting higher in and of themselves, and that's what you want to see from, like I said, just a broad trend building perspective. So as far as potential battlegrounds here, moving forward, key level to watch now. And again, nothing fancy here, right up here at 16.5 cents. And that's just based on the fact that, well, that's where the party momentum ran out previously. So if the price does get back up to that area, it becomes a very valid question of, is this some sort of double top? Is that history going to repeat itself? So keep an eye on that. The good news is it's not looking like you're going to have to wait too much longer to get an answer to that question because, as I speak and the market's still open for another 10 minutes, market's right around that area knocking on that door. So we'll see if the price can push up through there. And then as far as supports are concerned, have this area right there. And we'll change that again to represent the support area of things. And then just very quickly, as I already did, another angle. And I'm doing that very bootleg, but another potential bull pennant pattern. Maybe you would say it's a bull flag pattern. But like I said, multiple angles here to look at it. But the common denominator here is the uptrend continues with the higher highs and higher lows. Next one, AMC, and overall the downtrend continues. So basically the exact opposite of what we were looking at before, although I will say that moving forward now into the future, very interesting pattern here that has formed. So let me change that to green because that is the support part of the pattern. And on the flip side, we have the resistance part right here. And this would be a falling wedge pattern. Now, you may think a falling wedge is a bearish pattern, but it's actually a bullish pattern. But also, let me be very clear, just because something's bullish in a pattern does not mean for sure guaranteed the price is going to go back upwards. But my point here is that if you like falling wedge patterns, then this is definitely one that you got to think a lot of people are probably keeping an eye on, which once again introduces the potential self-fulfilling prophecies when everybody's looking at the same thing and wondering the same thing. That in and of itself can create good, solid movement. So are there guarantees? Absolutely not. But is it plausible? Is it valid to think that the price can curl back upward and get a break up through that trend line there, that break in and of itself could create good, solid buying pressure and potentially, bring in a worthwhile move back to the upside? I think it's certainly worth keeping an eye on, especially if you like falling wedge patterns. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering here in a few days. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. Or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right up on the webpage itself that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Next one, MOB, and I like this one quite a bit because we have a very well-defined level, which once again goes back to the whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecy, and prophecies, and a lot of people watching the same levels wondering the same thing. And what makes it interesting is things started off great, and then there was this deep pullback. And you have pullbacks like this, it becomes a very valid question to throw out there. Is this the start of the end? Is this a gap and trap where the price is going to continue to collapse? And we got our answer. Apparently no, because the price has started to go sideways. Now let me be very clear. Just because this thing has started to go sideways does not guarantee that for sure this pullback is over and for sure this thing's getting ready to head back up. If only it were that easy. But what I am saying is it's plausible to say, okay, I think this pullback is over. The price started to go sideways, so it becomes a very plausible thought to think that the pullback is over and that this thing's ready to curl back upwards. So if it does decide to curl back upwards, key area of resistance to watch right there at the $2.90 mark. So if you like this price range down below $5, you like to play these potential, situations where things are looking rough for a period of time, and then all of a sudden things symbolize that they could be getting ready to turn back around, I'd certainly keep an eye on it. Next one, NVAX, and a huge mover today. Sort of a blast from the past. I've not seen this ticker symbol for quite a while, but made a big move here. So let's get some levels mapped out here. First dynamic that you got to think a lot of people are watching, getting that upward trend line in place. And then along with that, putting in this little lower trend line right there. There we go. And once again, just to try to keep things in perspective. So green there to represent the support. And then if you want to look at this from a more of a pattern angle of things, we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big upwards move right there. And right there you have the bull pennant pattern. Maybe you're thinking something more so like this, and you're thinking it started down there. I would not argue. I'm not gonna die in either of those hills. No, it's got to be there. It's got to be right there. Do whatever best suits your eye. But like I said, the main dynamic here is that it's very clear that it was a big move up. It's now starting to pull back and consolidate here, which brings about that fun question of, who's going to ultimately win out? Are the bulls going to win out with an even bigger move to the upside? Worth certainly keep an eye on if you like these stocks down below $10. Next one, MULN. Been tracking this one for a while, and it's still just a pullback. But, at some point, the pullback's got to just stop being a pullback and start to have to show signs of strength. And let me be very clear, nothing can go straight up. So it's not like pullbacks are bad, but there does reach points where it's, okay, yeah, you have pulled back enough. And this one is starting to get to that area where, yeah, it's pulled back enough. Now, to give them some credit where credit's due, price did a fantastic job of holding up above both those key moving averages, especially that pink line right there, the 200 period moving average you can see right there. Price bounced off it very nicely. The price has now actually gotten down below that purple line there. I would not say it's the end of the world. Why would I, not say that? Well, because the price is still up above that pink line right there. However, with that being said, if the price comes down here to that pink line and then blasts down through there, at that point, that's a pretty big red flag. So I'm not willing to say anything's a red flag yet. But if you were to ask, okay, Clay, fine, but when would red flags start to creep into your equation? And that would be any sort of breaks down below that 200 period moving average right there. So that's definitely going to be a key support. In terms of areas of resistance, key dynamic seems to be right now this trend line right there. So keep an eye on that. But overall, a little longer pullback than what I think is necessary. But that doesn't, by no means, am I the be-all, end-all. But we'll see what happens with it on Tuesday. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, an absolutely brutal opening 30 minutes, which you can see represented there by that red candle. And then even had a rougher late afternoon or late morning, early afternoon. But to give some credit where credit's due, the price has shown some signs of, bouncing upwards. So, you can't take anything away from that movement right there. With that being said, if you factor in what happens before that, and you draw on that line right there, all that's actually formed today is a bear pennant pattern. But like I said earlier in the video, just because something's bullish doesn't mean the price is going up. And the flip side is true. Just because there's a bearish pattern does not mean the price is going to go back downwards. But my key point here is, yes, there's no doubt about it. This is a good, solid move, but I would just be skeptical about it because it is happening and it has allowed for a bear pennant pattern to take place. That doesn't mean that a price can't keep recovering. I'm just saying don't get overly excited about it. With all that being said, though, when I take a step back and look at, and I know you're well aware of this, overall, though, Tesla is still plenty much so in an overall uptrend. Let me just get rid of these lines here. They don't need to be here for the time being. So overall, yes, the trend is still plenty upwards. So when I'm sitting here, talking about that little miniature bear flag there, from the grand scheme of things, the price is still very, very bullish. So it's really just a matter of what's your perspective, what's your kind of game plan and personal strategy going in. Next one here, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ. So if you believe the NASDAQ market is going to rise, this one will also rise. And I wanted to put it right next to Tesla because same exact premise, so I won't spend a lot of time on it because you just heard me say it. But yes, started off today very rough and, but it's now bouncing in the upwards direction. But what was happening before this little upwards move? Well, you had this big fall right there, which has produced the bear flag, bear pennant pattern, whatever you want to call it. With that being said, squeeze things down, and you can see that overall, the trend is still very much so in the upwards direction. So, like I said, I realize I just basically sound like a broken record right now, but nonetheless, like I said, I still want to get that across that even though the general NASDAQ market as a whole has a lot of these same exact situations where, yeah, you're getting a nice bounce today, but it has created some bear pennants out there. So just be aware of that and don't get overly excited, to the upside. While I'm not saying you shouldn't be excited, don't get overly excited. But that's where the TQQQ stands right now. Have the bear pennant pattern, and we'll see if the price gets continuation of the downside with the bears, or if the bulls can show up and blast the pattern to the upside and say, no, there is no bear pennant here. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to go get signed up for the class. It'll be later this week, Thursday, July 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, please do two things for me real quick. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Tell me what you traded today. Say hi. Tell me what you're watching tomorrow. But those two things help out the channel, communicate to me that you enjoy. And as long as you know you're enjoying, I'll continue to get this content out to you. So hit that like button, leave a comment below. Go get signed up for the free class.